The rain was relentless that Tuesday morning in Seattle. I remember thinking it was a fitting backdrop to the storm brewing inside me. I'm Alaric, 46, and until recently I was living what I thought was a good life. I worked as an IT project manager, a job that kept me busy but also allowed me to provide comfortably for my family. My wife, Bronte, was a marketing executive, sharp, ambitious, and always impeccably dressed. We had a daughter, Isolde, who was 12 and the center of our world. We'd been married for 15 years, a milestone I always thought was a testament to our love and commitment. Looking back, maybe the cracks had started to appear a while ago, but I was too blind, too trusting to notice. Bronte had been working longer hours, often coming home late with excuses about deadlines and client meetings. I shrugged it off, attributing it to the pressures of her job. She'd also become more distant, less affectionate. Our conversations felt forced, our intimacy had dwindled to almost nothing. I chalked it up to stress, to the natural ebb and flow of a long-term relationship. I was so wrong. The first seed of doubt was planted by a chance encounter. I was at a coffee shop near Bronte's office, waiting to surprise her for lunch. I saw her walking down the street, laughing, her arm linked with a man I didn't recognize. He was tall, handsome, and had an air of confidence that made my stomach clench. They disappeared into a restaurant, and I stood there, frozen, unsure of what to do. I told myself it was just a business lunch, that I was being paranoid. But the image of them together, the easy intimacy they shared, haunted me. That night, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. Bronte came home late, as usual, and when I asked her about her day, she gave me a vague, dismissive answer. "Just work, Alaric. You know how it is." I tried to let it go, but the suspicion gnawed at me. I started paying closer attention to her phone, her emails, her schedule. I felt like a detective in a bad movie, but I couldn't stop myself. I needed to know the truth, no matter how painful it might be. The truth, as it turned out, was far more devastating than I could have imagined. It came in the form of a text message, a message that popped up on Bronte's phone while she was in the shower. I know I shouldn't have looked, but I couldn't resist. The message was from a number I didn't recognize, and it read, "Can't wait to see you tonight. Thinking about last night, my blood ran cold." I stood there, staring at the phone, my hands shaking. I felt like the world was spinning, like I was going to be sick. I wanted to believe it was a mistake, a wrong number, anything but what it seemed to be. But deep down, I knew. I knew that my wife, the woman I loved, the woman I had built a life with, was cheating on me. When Bronte came out of the shower, I confronted her. I didn't yell, I didn't scream. I just held up the phone and asked her to explain. She paled, her eyes widening in panic. At first she tried to deny it, to brush it off as a joke, but I pressed her, my voice cold and steady. "Who is this, Bronte? Tell me the truth." Finally, she broke down. She confessed to having an affair with a colleague, a man named Rainier. She said it had been going on for several months, that it had started as a harmless flirtation and had escalated from there. She claimed she didn't mean for it to happen, that she still loved me. But her words rang hollow, like a script she had rehearsed in her head. I felt a wave of emotions wash over me: anger, betrayal, heartbreak. But most of all, I felt a profound sense of sadness. Sadness for the life we had built, for the future we had planned, for the love that I thought was real. "How could you do this to me?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "How could you do this to us?" Her explanation was a litany of clicks. She felt neglected, she felt unappreciated, she felt like we had grown apart. She said Rainier made her feel alive again, that he paid attention to her in a way that I didn't. I listened in stunned silence, trying to reconcile the woman in front of me with the woman I thought I knew. The next few days were a blur of tears, accusations, and recriminations. We argued constantly, our voices echoing through the house. Isolde, sensing the tension, withdrew into herself, becoming quiet and withdrawn. I felt like I was losing everything: my wife, my family, my sense of self. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat, I couldn't think. I was consumed by anger and resentment. I wanted to lash out, to hurt Bronte the way she had hurt me, but I knew that wouldn't solve anything. I knew that the only way to move forward was to end things, to cut ties with the woman who had betrayed me. I told Bronte I wanted a divorce. She didn't argue, she didn't beg me to stay. She simply nodded, her eyes filled with a mixture of regret and relief. It was as if she had been waiting for me to say the words, as if she had already checked out of our marriage long ago. The divorce was messy and painful. There were lawyers, court dates, and endless negotiations over assets and custody. Bronte fought me every step of the way, trying to get as much as she could. I was disgusted by her greed, by her willingness to sacrifice everything for her own selfish desires. Through it all, I tried to remain strong for Isolde. I didn't want her to be caught in the middle of our conflict. I made sure she knew that I loved her, that I would always be there for her, no matter what. She spent most of her time with me, clinging to me as if she was afraid I was going to disappear. After the divorce was finalized, I moved out of our house and into a small apartment. It was lonely and depressing, but it was also a fresh start. I started going to therapy, talking about my feelings and trying to heal from the pain of betrayal. It was a long and difficult process, but slowly, gradually, I began to feel like myself again. I focused on my work, throwing myself into projects and deadlines. I reconnected with old friends, spending time with them and rediscovering the joys of companionship. I started exercising, taking long walks in the park, and appreciating the beauty of nature. I realized that life was still worth living, even after the heartbreak and disappointment. One day, a few months after the divorce, I received a phone call from an unknown number. I hesitated before answering, unsure of who it might be. "Hello," I said cautiously. "Alaric, it's Rainier," the voice on the other end said. My blood ran cold. I hadn't spoken to him since the day I found out about the affair. "I need to talk to you," he said, his voice strained. I almost hung up, but something in his tone made me pause. "What do you want?" I asked, my voice hard. "I made a mistake," he said. "A big mistake. I need your help." He went on to explain that his relationship with Bronte had fallen apart. He said she had become demanding, controlling, and emotionally abusive. He had tried to break up with her, but she had refused to let him go. She had threatened to ruin his career, to expose his affair to his wife and children. He was desperate, terrified, and didn't know where else to turn. I listened in stunned silence, a strange mix of satisfaction and pity washing over me. I had never wished Rainier any harm, but I couldn't deny that there was a part of me that enjoyed hearing about his misery. He was getting a taste of his own medicine, experiencing the pain and betrayal that he had inflicted on me. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked, my voice skeptical. "Because I need your help," he said. "Bronte is out of control. She's obsessed with me and I don't know how to get rid of her. I thought maybe you could talk to her, reason with her." I laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. "You think I'm going to help you? After what you did to me, to my family, I know I don't deserve it," he said. "But I'm desperate. Please, Alaric, I'm begging you." I thought about it for a moment, weighing my options. On the one hand, I wanted nothing to do with Bronte or Rainier. I wanted to put them both behind me and move on with my life. On the other hand, I couldn't deny that there was a part of me that wanted to see Bronte suffer, to experience the consequences of her actions. "Okay," I said finally. "I'll talk to her, but I'm not making any promises." I met Bronte for coffee the next day. It was the first time I had seen her since the divorce was finalized. She looked tired and worn, her eyes shadowed with stress. She was still beautiful, but her beauty was marred by a hardness, a bitterness that I had never seen before. "What do you want, Alaric?" she asked, her voice cold. "Rainier called me," I said. "He told me everything." Her eyes widened in alarm. "He had no right to do that," she said, her voice rising. "He's scared, Bronte," I said. "He wants you to leave him alone." "I love him," she said, her voice pleading. "He's the only one who understands me." "You're hurting him, Bronte," I said. "You're hurting yourself. You need to let him go." She stared at me, her eyes filled with tears. "I don't know how," she said. "I'm so lost, Alaric. I don't know what to do." I felt a pang of sympathy for her, a flicker of the old love that I used to feel. But I knew that I couldn't save her. She had to save herself. "You need to get help, Bronte," I said. "You need to talk to someone to figure out why you're doing this." She nodded, her tears streaming down her face. "I know," she said. "I know." I stood up to leave. "Take care of yourself, Bronte," I said. For Isolde's sake, I walked away, leaving her sitting there alone, her face buried in her hands. I didn't know what the future held for her, but I hoped that she would find a way to heal, to find happiness again. A few weeks later, I received a letter from Bronte. She said she had started therapy and was working on herself. She apologized for the pain she had caused me and Isolde. She said she understood why I had divorced her, that she knew she had made a terrible mistake. I didn't reply to her letter, but I felt a sense of closure, a sense of peace that I hadn't felt in a long time. I knew that I had done the right thing, that I had made the best decision for myself and for Isolde. Life wasn't perfect, but it was good. I had my work, my friends, and my daughter. I was learning to love myself again, to trust myself again, to believe in myself again. The rain still fell in Seattle, but now it didn't feel so bleak. It felt like a cleansing, a renewal, a promise of a brighter future. Years passed. Isolde grew into a beautiful, intelligent young woman. She went off to college, pursued her dreams, and made me incredibly proud. Bronte and I eventually found a way to co-parent amicably, putting Isolde's needs first. We even managed to be in the same room together without animosity, a testament to the healing power of time. One sunny afternoon, Isolde came to me with a proposition. "Dad," she said, "Mom and I have been talking. We think it's time for you to start dating again." I chuckled. "Is that so? And who put you two up to this?" Isolde grinned. "We both just want you to be happy, Dad. You deserve it." I hesitated. The thought of opening myself up to another relationship, another potential heartbreak, was daunting. But as I looked at Isolde's earnest face, I realized she was right. I did deserve to be happy. I had spent too long dwelling on the past, letting the pain of betrayal define me. It was time to move on, to embrace the possibility of love again. "Okay," I said, a smile spreading across my face. "I'll give it a try." And so I did. I joined a dating app, went on a few awkward dates, and eventually met someone special. Her name was Cerelia, and she was kind, intelligent, and funny. She had been through her own share of heartaches, and she understood the importance of trust and communication. We took things slow, building a solid foundation of friendship before diving into a romantic relationship. We laughed, we cried, we shared our hopes and dreams. And slowly, gradually, I fell in love again. One evening, as we were sitting on my balcony, watching the sunset over the Seattle skyline, Cerelia turned to me and said, "Alaric, I love you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you." Tears welled up in my eyes. "I love you too, Cerelia," I said, my voice choked with emotion. "More than you know." We got married a year later in a small, intimate ceremony surrounded by our closest friends and family. Isolde was my maid of honor, and Bronte even attended, offering her sincere congratulations. As I stood at the altar holding Cerelia's hand, I realized that I had finally found my happy ending. The pain of the past was still there, a faint scar on my heart, but it no longer defined me. I had learned from my mistakes, I had grown stronger, and I had emerged from the darkness into the light. Life is full of unexpected twists and turns, of joys and sorrows, of love and betrayal. But it is also full of hope, of resilience, and of the possibility of redemption. Never give up on yourself, never lose faith in the power of love, and never let the pain of the past prevent you from embracing the promise of the future. Because even after the darkest storms, the sun will always rise again.